Hey guys, today we're going to be taking a look at the M26 Pershing, Tier 4, 6.3 battle rating, medium tank. First things first, this thing's gun, it's M82 shot, which is the shell you will be using most of the time in this tank. Does lack a bit in the penetration department, as the other 6.3 Russian medium tank we took a look at the other day, the T-44. So, 6.3 for medium tanks is a bit of an interesting battle rating because either they are like the FE-4202 and Centurion where they have very good guns and aren't very good tanks, or they are pretty good tanks with very bad guns. So this thing frontally with King Tigers has the issue of it can't kill Tiger 2 Henschels from the front. It can kill Tiger 2 Ps, but being that it's 6.3 you're almost always in 6.7 matches, so that can be quite a bit of an issue. So as that, I would recommend taking at least a few APCR shells. So yeah, you need to go for side shots. However, it's not the greatest mobility on this tank, but you can make it work. So the real strong point of this tank, as with the T-44, was actually in its armor. Now, this thing's armor is not as effective as the T-44's, but its gun is more effective than the T-44's. So it's fairly mobile. It's got armor that you can work with. You can side scrape it, you can angle it. Your weaker points on the frontal are generally your gun mantlet is fairly weak. There is also a very small flat portion on the upper plate that is not angled. That is a weak point, but I don't recommend shooting for that. It is very, very difficult to hit. Just aim for the flat part of the gun mantlet. Its reload is decent. It gets 350 caliber machine guns for shooting down planes, which is it can definitely make it work. So we found ourselves here on Rhine. So you see me trying to put shots into this Tiger. Now I was kind of trying to overmatch his track and penetrate his side, because that's really the only hope I have. Now that shot actually hit exactly where I wanted. I wanted to hit this barrel because then he cannot fire back. Now there's a Yag Panther in front of me. I can't penetrate that thing's upper plate, so I have to aim for the lower plate and just knock it out with my APHE rounds, as once you penetrate with this thing, it generally knocks it out in one shot. It likes to eliminate crew very easily, detonate ammo racks. It is an all-around good shell. It just lacks in the penetration department, as on other American 90mm and Japanese American 90mm that they get on the STA 1 and 2. So, as I said, flank shots are nice, but you can definitely brawl against tanks in this. You can brawl against things like the Long 88. You just have to be very careful of what you're doing, and keep in mind that the side armor is not all the same thickness. There is a portion on the back of the tank where it actually flattens out. Or actually, sorry, it doesn't flatten out. It gets really, really thin. I believe it's less than 20mm thick near the back where the engine compartment is, so you can be easily transmissions are set on fire through there. That is just something to keep note of. It can be quite annoying at times when you're side scraping and someone shoots the back of your tank because it's very, very thin. So yeah, that's basically the basics of this tank. It sits in a interesting spot. It's the last tier 4 medium that you get after the T25, and it's right before the first patent that you get that is now 7.0. So it doesn't really have anything to back it up on the ground. If you're trying to drive at a 6.3 battle rating, you only have the Walker Bulldog and a couple planes. So, but with this thing being almost always in 6-7 matches, it can struggle against teams with lots of Tigers, or lots of King Tigers with the Henschel turrets, as you really need to know how to get those side shots or be firing APCR, because if you don't, you will just die. Like, there's nothing you can really do to counter a Tiger from the front other than loading APCR. It can be quite annoying, but you just gotta deal with it. It is a good tank. It is also a tank that is used a lot in tournaments. So things like 7v7s, Thunder Leagues, Tactical Battles, all those kind of stuff, Steel Legion, it's in there as well. However, in there, it's not fighting anything above Tiger 1s, Panthers, Centurion Mark 1s, and stuff like that. So in tournaments it's a very good tank, and here it's mediocre at best. Kind of call it like a jack of all trades. It's got decent armor, decent gun, decent mobility. It doesn't really lack in any one area, but it's not particularly great in any one area either. So it is a very, very versatile tank. It is a tank that you can take onto almost any map and do well with. Except for maybe maps like Kursk, where they are very large and very open, and you can't really... you will struggle on a map like Kursk in this fighting tigers, unless you can get in close. But, that being said, you can still pull off Kursk with this tank. Like, it's not... It can do everything, if you know what you're doing with it. Now, this tank, if you learn how to play it, it is a very good tank for working on your tanking skills if you feel you need to do so, as it represents most classes. It can, like I said, it can tank shots, it's got a decent gun, and it's not like the T-44 where it is very likely to bounce a lot of shots. You have to angle yourself and make those shots bounce. So, as for what I recommend driving this tank, if you're going down to get the M60A1 or anything like that, yeah, I'd say so. It'll get you into a nice spot with driving some of the later tanks, like the M60. However, the armor matters just about as much as it does on the M60 when heat's being fired at it. M60 won't bounce heat. This thing won't bounce high penetration shells if you don't try to. So, that's about all for this video, as nothing else really happens in this replay. So, let me know, what do you guys want to see me do a video on next, and maybe I'll take a look at it. And I'll catch you guys next time.